Hello everybody, my name is David. Thank you for watching CNXG. Today's video is Narcissists Explore Your Core Vulnerability. I actually just made a video on vulnerabilities. It's a CPTSD video if you guys are interested more in vulnerabilities. But this is the core vulnerability. And what is that, right? Well, I read an article in Psychology Today, and it's calling the core vulnerability. It says it's the emotional state that is most dreadful to you, in reaction to which you've developed the strongest defenses. Okay? So, for most people, it seems to be fear or shame. One or the other. That most of our defenses are about. Fear of like harm, some type of harm. Fear of being isolated, being alone. Or deprivation, being deprived of things we need. And shame would be failure. Okay, so although fear and shame are both pretty dreadful, one is usually worse than the other for most individuals. Okay, people that have a fear core vulnerability, failure is likely to trigger a deeper and more dreadful fear of isolation, harm, or deprivation. People that have a shame core vulnerability, fear will trigger a deeper and more loathsome sense of failure. Okay, and I'm going to get way more into this, so don't worry. And I'm going to help you find out what you are. Okay, so I thought this was really interesting, so I wanted to share this with you. I thought it was really cool. For the fear avoidant, failure sounds like this. If I fail, no one will help, love, or comfort me. But so a narcissist will learn this and tell you that you're a failure or failed, right? Not the right one. You always screw up. Wrong. Once again, you know. This triggers core vulnerability big time in us. And for the shame avoidant, fear sounds like this. If I fail, I won't be able to help, love, or comfort myself, and I won't feel worthy of anyone else's help, love, or comfort. See the difference a little bit? Here again, the narc is devaluating. Would devaluate you. You are always wrong. When the fear-driven fail at work, they want more closeness in their relationships at home. When the shame-avoidant fail at work, they are likely to fight with their partners or withdraw from them, preferring to be left alone. Okay? Maybe that'll help you know which one you are. People whose core vulnerability is fear will accept shame, even humiliation, if they have to, in order to feel safe, secure, or connected, or at least to avoid feeling isolated. Does that sound like you? Or people whose core vulnerability is shame will risk harm, abandonment, and resources to feel successful or at least avoid feeling like a failure. Hope you're starting to understand the differences, kind of. So which one are you? Well, take a minute, everyone, if you want to, take a minute. And I'm going to sit here and wait. Write down, or just at least think about these things that you dread, no matter how unlikely they are to happen. So think about some of the worst things that you are scared of the most. Even if it's not unlikely, even if it's highly unlikely or it just can't happen, just think of the things that you dread the most, okay? If your fear core vulnerability, possibly of harm, well, these are some of the things you might have on your list, or some of the things you're thinking of. Possibility of harm, isolation, no one will care about you, deprivation, like diminished comfort, comfort in life, no nest, no safe place. Okay. If your core vulnerability is shame, some of the things you might have on your list are failure, inadequacy, loss of status, missing that promotion, getting fired, defeated, losing respect. Okay? Shame, deprivation on lists, losing sexual prowess, losing your house, losing your car. But the underlying dread, if it's shame, is this. The loss of things will mean failure or degraded status, not deprivation. Okay, not being deprived of these things. It's how do you look, right? If you're a fear-driven individual, you'll think of hardship of losing certain things, the hardship of it. The shame avoidant will think of how they couldn't look at other people in the eye if they lost certain things. Now, I think you guys should be able to understand the difference and maybe know what you are. So another example, here's what I thought was a really good example. Homelessness. So everyone dreads it, right? But for different reasons, you know. A fear-driven person will fear homelessness because they're afraid of harm to them, isolation, deprivation. Okay, so they're afraid of the things they'll be without, the things that could happen to them. Okay, some of the things I might say would be, someone would hurt me, no one would care about me, I'd freeze, starve, can't breathe. Okay. The shame avoidant person will be seen as a failure if they're homeless. I couldn't hold my head up. That's what they'd say. So, and something you can see in homeless people, and only the younger generation of homeless people, if they're pretty young, the younger homeless man will rarely make eye contact with you out of shame. But the younger homeless woman will look directly in your eyes. They're homeless. They don't like homeless out of fear. You see that? But they need what they need, and they'll look for you right in the eye to get what they need, even though you can get it from you. Whereas the homeless man, it's hard to hold his head up. He's ashamed, you know? So what I thought was interesting is, I always say narcissists are shame-based. I've been saying that forever. And people with CPTSD have a core vulnerability of fear, would be very common. Even from our own emotions. All the way, you know, we make them phobias. Okay? In general, fearful and shame-based people attract each other. Fear and shame people attract each other. And I thought this was really interesting. I mean, you know, narcissists are so shame-based. They so feel like they're horrible people, while we may have dealt with a lot of different kinds of neglect and abuse and stuff, and we're afraid. We're afraid of our own emotions. Fearful people cope by forming emotional alliances. I'll say that one more time. Let me start over. About why fearful and shame-based people attract each other. Fearful people cope by forming emotional alliances with people. Okay, that's what they do. Looking for people they perceive to be protective, powerful, and generous. So fearful people look for emotional alliances, looking for people that perceive to be protective, powerful, and generous. I think a lot of us do that. Where those who most dread emotional experience is shame are likely to cope by projecting power, protectiveness, generosity, and look for partners who appreciate those qualities. Interesting. I'll read that again. People who are shame-based are likely to cope by projecting power, not real, projecting that power, protectiveness, generosity. Here you go. And look for partners who appreciate those qualities. I think that has a lot to do with the dynamics between a narcissist and the victim, the non-narcissist. You have narcissists that are so shame-based, they project that they're in control and in power, and they act real generous and give things away and tell you how great you are and how nice you are, love bombing. And that's the kind of people that fear-based people look for. I think that's really interesting. I hope maybe that you were able to tell kind of what your core vulnerability is. And by knowing that, some of the way you feel could, knowing that could help you make sense of some of the way you feel, some of your feelings, and maybe even some of your choices. And maybe knowing this will help you make better choices in the future. Okay? And not let these narcissists pull the rug out from out underneath you all the time. Because a narcissist will pick up on anything that you're insecure about, that you're vulnerable about. If you have a core vulnerability of fear, they're going to make you afraid. They're going to make you afraid that you're going to lose things. They're going to tell you they're leaving all the time, or they just walk out the door and leave you. Whereas, if we are, or they are shame-based, all they care about is how they look. Right? And it's true. I've said this a million times, that even someone with remorse, even someone with no remorse could hurt you. But why do they sit there and deny it? If they don't care that they hurt you, they don't care how you feel, yeah, I hurt them. They care about what other people look like. I mean, they care about what other people think of them, what they look like to other people. They don't want to be a bad person. Shame. Hope you thought that was as interesting as I did, and I hope you learned something from it. Thank you. Let me know if you have any other questions. Go down there and ask me, and I'll answer them, okay? If you can, that'd be awesome if you guys could share this stuff, put it out there in all your social media forums and groups. Share it with people that need it, you think, okay? That's how this information gets to people who need it. I appreciate it. Thank you guys very much. Love yourself first, and I will see you again. Bye-bye.